Hey guys, Ben here. So today I'm going to be comparing an affordable Seiko to that of a luxury Omega. Seiko is a brand best associated with its affordable timepieces, and Seiko often ends up being the brand that pushes people deeper into the hobby of watch collecting. Seikos often mark the beginning of a collector's journey, while Omegas typically are the culmination of years worth of watch collecting. And Omegas are really well known for making super reliable luxury timepieces that can pretty much be recognized anywhere you go. So what exactly is the difference between the two? Is a $4,400 Omega really over 31 times better than that of a $140 Seiko? Well, let's dive in and find out. I have a Seiko 5 Diver and an Omega Seamaster Professional. They're both diving watches at different price points. Today I'm going to compare their build quality, functionality, and versatility. Let's get started with the build construction. So the finishing on the Omega is much more superior. The bracelet, the lugs, the case back, the clasp, you name it. Both of the watches are approximately 5 years in age, and you can tell that Omega has aged much more gracefully than the Seiko. This is due to the usage of superior steel in the construction of the watch, as well as the superior finishing. The bezel of the Omega is made of ceramic, while the Seiko's is made out of Hardlex crystal. Out of the two materials, ceramic is objectively superior in the sense that it is more scratch resistant and durable. The bezel action of the Omega is also much better than that of the Seiko. But for the price, Seiko's bezel action is definitely satisfying. Here, you can listen to the sound of both. The bracelet of the Omega looks elegant, while the Seiko's look beefy. Both of the watches feel quite comfortable on the wrist, but the Seiko's bracelet is very flimsy, while the Omega is a lot more stable. In terms of movement, Seiko is equipped with the basic Seiko caliber, while the Omega is equipped with its coaxial movement. The Omega's coaxial movement is much more accurate than the Seiko, and much more robust. It can also take magnetism to upwards of 15,000 Gauss, surpassing even that of Rolex's, so there's no contest here. Now let's move on to functionality. The Seiko comes equipped with a day and date function, while the Omega only comes with a date, so the Seiko has Omega beat in that aspect. However, Omega is much more durable in terms of anti-magnetism, corrosion, water resistance, and the list goes on. The Omega is 300 meters water resistant, while the Seiko has a water resistance rating of only 100 meters. Both watches should be safe to take to the pool, or to the beach. But if you are going to deep dive, Omega is a much better bet. In terms of sizing, the Seiko wears slightly larger than that of the Omega, but both watches wear pretty well and should fit a wide arsenal of wrist sizes. The Seiko has a case diameter of 42mm, but wears more comparable to that of a 41mm due to its compact lugs. Omega, on the other hand, has a case diameter of 41mm, which is smaller than the Seiko, but the Omega wears much more like a 40mm, also due to compact lugs. I would endorse the Seiko for a wrist size of up to 6.5 inches, and for the Omega 6.25 inches. The loom on the Seiko is mediocre. The loom on the hour markers are weak, although the minute and hour hands are pretty solid. The loom on the Omega is much more legible, and should serve you better than that of the Seiko. In terms of versatility, both of these watches are fairly versatile, although I will give a slight edge to the Omega due to its more refined bracelet design. The Omega would fit under dressy as well as casual scenarios with much more ease than the Seiko. The watch can essentially be worn with a suit or shorts, or anything in between. The Seiko, on the other hand, looks to fit more casual scenarios, but it is possible to pull it off with the dressier attire, as I have done in the past. Overall, this Omega is objectively a much more superior watch compared to the Seiko, but then again, it ought to be. I mean, it is over 31 times the price of this Seiko after all. This Seiko is no slouch though, especially considering its relatively cheap price. So as a verdict, would I consider the Omega to be over 31 times better than that of the Seiko? Well, that depends. Would you consider a better finishing with superior functionality along with a more prestigious brand image to be worth the price disparity? The answer to that should be judged based off of a person's budget and values. If you want something with a higher brand prestige and image, and happen to have the budget to afford an Omega, well in that case, Omega is a no-brainer. But from personal experience, the Seiko has held up well, and is the reason why I fell into the deep rabbit hole that is watch collecting. So if you're a new watch collector, I definitely suggest a Seiko to test the water, so to speak. You may start your collection with a Seiko, but most likely will end up adding an Omega to your collection somewhere along your journey, as most people who get into the hobby. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, please smash the thumbs up button, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.